So I'm going to start off with probably something you've seen, and I don't know if you've ever looked at it or played with it or realized it, but now we have this contextual menu bar, which I hate because it won't stay anywhere. You can theoretically pin the bar position, and the minute you move it, it's no longer pinned, and I don't like it. I would love to be able to dock it somewhere like I can dock all the rest of my panels, but it is what it is. The cool thing about this is we now have an adjust colors button, which we didn't have before. And when you click on it, you get an adjust colors little palette there. So if I want to click on well, it starts off with a global color adjustment, which we can all use, but it also lists all the colors that it sees in your image. So I'm going to click on the red one, and it gets your drop-down menu right here. So you can adjust your colors here for more or less saturation, however you want, more or less hue, play with that, more lightness or darkness. It's really convenient to have it here. You can also choose your eyedropper and actually sample a color, and then it will bring that color in, and it will show it here. It'll have a little dot underneath. It'll show the color there, and it will adjust that color too. The thing you have to be careful of with this, well, first of all, it's not permanent. This is not AI. It creates an adjustment layer, which is cool. And because it's an adjustment layer, you can always go back and change it however you want. But remember that when you use your eyedropper and you sample a color, not all the colors, this color may be inherent or may be part of another color. So when you click on it, you'll notice that not just that color changes, but that color in other areas change as well. So you kind of just need to be aware, not just the single color will change, but anything with that color call out will change. Now, one of the latest tools is the object selection tool. It's over by your quick selection tool, your magic wand tool, and it's kind of cool. It is AI, but it's not destructive AI. And as you mouse over a person, it can select the whole person. It can select the hair. It can select the face. It can select apparently it can select the whatever that piece of equipment is, or clothing. Although you can see it does something weird here. It doesn't select, it selects his hair in two pieces. So it's not perfect. But we also have a little tab up here. Now, when I zoom in like this, can y'all see the zoom in? Okay, good. So up here, this is your options bar. Every tool has options. There's options. They always change. And this has a select people tool. And in the select people, it will show each person, although apparently this one is two people. You have the option of selecting one person, and then you have the option of all these things that you can choose. You can choose hair, eyebrows, eyes, the iris of their eyes, their nose, all these different. When you select any one of these, it will, I'm going to say his shoes and apply. And what I get is a selection just around his shoe, because that's what I selected. In Photoshop, it is a selection. In Lightroom, it is a mask. And that's one of the things I like about Photoshop is that I don't like the masks in Lightroom. I find them hard to edit, hard to deal with. But in Photoshop, it's just a selection, and then you can decide what you want to do with it. You can also select all your people. And this is where I've used it a lot. I've select all my people. I go and I select their teeth, and I click apply. And I got lucky. It got all their teeth. This is where it will mess with you. AI will mess with you sometime, and it won't select everything. And then I can go and add I'm going to choose a levels adjustment. And now I can whiten everybody's teeth at once. And I've used this a lot when I do group photos, and invariably you have people who have yellow teeth. And that's just kind of how that works. It's pretty straightforward. Now, in this image, I find that the more people you add to your photograph or to your image, the harder it is for AI to find things. So I'm going to go ahead and say select people, and it's going to detect people. Now it's showing me 3 plus 10. And what's kind of cool is you can select different people, and it will make a little selection around them, which is if you need to just pick on one person or another person. Now I've got 2 people selected. But if I select all the people, if you look at this, I don't have all the people. All the people in the back, I've got 3 people in the back that it has not selected. So it runs into quantity issues. And so you end up having to go back and add those people. There's also an arm back here that didn't get selected, and I don't believe she got selected. So the more people you add to it, the harder it is for AI to work. Just keep that in mind when you're using it. And that's just the object tool. It's just one more tool along with the quick selection and the magic wand tool. That's where it lives on the panel. And this is where AI can be very impressive. I'm going to use my object tool to select that. Another thing they've done is they've added the remove tool to this little contextual menu bar. You used to have to go up and find remove or go over to a remove tool. Now they've added it to the contextual menu bar. And when you choose remove, it's going to use generative fill. It's just going to. While you have a selection, you can go up and say, oops, sorry, it's under edit, content aware fill. And I'll try that first. But you can see right here, it didn't do a very good job. And you can kind of go through and erase some of the area to see if you can get it to be better. And that made it worse. So this is one of those things that if I were doing this without AI and without generative fill, recreating this kind of a panel, you're probably looking at a minimum of 2 hours. And so the question becomes, how long do you want to work on this? How much do you want to, and time do you want to invest in it? Yeah, so this did a really good job, and it put it on a separate layer. So if I needed to go in and, sometimes it doesn't do a perfect job. This one did a really good job. But if it doesn't do a perfect job, because it's on its own layer, then I can go back and I can mess with it. I can expand it, add to it, do it. Sometimes it will create lines. This has a little, oh, it's not bad. Sometimes it will create lines. And so you can go back and fix it. But I thought that did pretty well. This is another area where I'm using the object tool just to select this. But now I'm going to switch down to my remove tool and just go ahead and remove it. Again, it's using generative AI. And I think it did okay until you do this. And that resolution is terrible, really terrible. So it depends on how big you need it to be, how much resolution you actually need. If you're going to print this, you might want to do something different, but the resolution is pretty bad. I'm going to do that again.
Debbie?
Yes.
Are you still in content aware?
No, I am using the remove tool on the contextual panel menu and just letting AI do its thing.
Okay, because
now I'm going to go back and I'm going to try content aware.
Okay.
I think the problem with that is that AI in standard Photoshop removes only area of 1024 by 1024.
That's exactly
Everything,
correct. That is correct.
but this guy is much larger than 1024. I mean,
Yes,
your
he
image
is.
must
Yeah.
be larger. That's why he couldn't do it. But if it's 1024 or lower, it's going to do the perfect job.
Yeah. And 1024 is pretty small. So here I've tried it with content aware. I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to deselect, but you can see the resolution here is a whole lot better, but I have other problems. I have an outline and I would have to go back and work on that outline. Again, it's on its own layer. It's content aware, so I can use patch match or I can use the healing brush and clean that up. And on an image that size, that's not so bad. So again, it's just, you have to decide what works for you. Now here, this is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about just a minute ago. This was, I went to Oaxaca last year and this was in Mitla. And this garden was really pretty and these rocks were really pretty. And there were a ton of people there. So I'm going to go get my object selection tool and I'm going to click on select people. And it's going to ask for everybody. So I'm going to just click on the everyone but me. And click apply. And it created a selection. And that really doesn't help me. This is still a ton of work. I can try content aware. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that here. So this time I'm going to go with my remove tool. And up on your menu options bar, we have a couple things. We have find distractions, and people has been added to this. Wires and cable has been there for a while, but they've added people to it, which is kind of cool. Whoop. And I'm going to ask it to find the people. And that did a much better job of finding the people than the object selection tool is. So I've said this before, I say this in my classes. There used to be this old cartoon where this cartoon character had a bag of tricks and he would pull out whatever thing would help him fix it. And so he always had this bag of tricks. And that's what Photoshop is like. It's a bag of tricks. So I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, and then what else it has up here on your menu bar is it has this feature now where it gives you an option. You can use auto, which may use generative AI, maybe not. You're letting Photoshop decide. You can turn off AI or turn on AI altogether, or you can turn it off altogether. I'm just going to let it go on auto. Where did my contextual menu bar go? It disappeared. And that is another little buggy thing that it does. Okay, let's try it again. You know, they tell you never work with kids, animals, or equipment. So
I think you just have to click the check mark box, the check mark. Yeah, maybe.
I ask it to commit. There we go. Now it's going to commit.
Is Adobe still like charging per generative fill kind of?
Charging for
They
using.
turn on like you have
Yes.
so many credits.
Yes, yes, they are.
And
They sell credits. one,
And are those credits like per month or
You
per
get
year?
you get so
Yes.
many per month. They I've never had a problem with credits. I also have a license for the full creative suite
Yeah.
because I do graphic design work. So I get more credits than people who have the $20 a month plan. So I've never had an issue with it. I don't know. It's kind of, I haven't figured out how
If
they,
you use some of the other ones besides Firefly, like the Nano Banana, and I think there's another one, you run out of credits really quick.
okay, well,
yes, that charges like a 10 credits per one use.
well,
Well,
I'm going
on
to find out
standard
because I've
Photoshop.
used it a lot developing this,
But you have a
for-
different plan. I'm talking about Creative Cloud.
So moving on, I'm going to select this last person.
Did I miss, how come it didn't select you when you said select people?
I asked it not, well, when I went to, I'm going to deselect this. I went to the object selection tool and I didn't ask it to select everyone. I just went over to her and clicked on her and had it. You can use it as just as a tool to click on people, or you can go to select people and ask it to do that. Actually, that misses a lot of her entire person. And it didn't get better. Okay.
Debbie, if you brush over her with the brush instead of selecting her, is it the same thing or is it do a worse job?
Well, see what it's doing here is there's flowers in front of her and it's leaving the flowers. So that's why that's happening.
But if you use lasso tool, for example, I select around here and a little bit further from here, remove tool is going to do excellent job.
You know what? That's in your bag of tricks. Everyone has their own method of doing it and how they want to do it. So, and like I said, I'm showing you how I want to do it. So I have a selection and I'm going to say remove. I've left it on auto, so it's deciding how it's going to remove it. And now I have a picture. Now, one thing that did do is because previously it took them all out and left me with the background layer, but now I have an extra layer where it just removed that one person. So that may or may not help you. I would probably flatten this. And now I have a picture of just me in that garden, which is what I want for my book. So like I said, there's different ways to do it, but you're going to end up using AI just to get the image you want. So with your remove tool, I don't know if I mentioned the remove tool lives over where all your retouching tools, your spot healing tool, your healing brush, your patch tool, your red eye tool, all those things. And it has a wire. So under find distractions, it actually looks for cables and wires. You don't get an option. It's just a straight remove using whatever you have selected up here. So I'm going to go ahead and say remove, and it's removing with auto. And so auto is deciding if it's going to use AI or not. I think it doesn't use it on this image. And that was great. It was great because I had a solid background. I didn't have a lot of distractions on it. And notice it didn't create another layer with this tool. So I still have, it's on my background layer. When I go to this image, I have all these wires all over the place. I have a lot of stuff going on. I have different textures. I have doors. I have type. And when I go to find distractions and I say remove, that's messy. That's really messy. It did a fair job right in this area and a fair job in the clouds, but over here, it didn't do a good job at all. That this is obviously just not a good candidate for wire removal. So it can only do what it can do. If I try this again and I set it on generative AI, I'm going to ask it to remove again.
It doesn't help that you not only have wires, but you have the shadows of the wires.
Oh yeah, it's not good in any way. Okay, that was slightly better, not great. So, like I said, this one was a good candidate because the wires were easy to see, had a solid background, didn't have a lot of distractions. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to use a lasso tool. Now this, you've probably seen this before. This is one of the first examples Adobe would use. And what you would do is you go and you select around your image. And you select around your, oops, I need selection brush. Yeah. The selection brush, what is cool is once you draw around it, when you let go, you don't have to go back and color that in. It will color it in for you. And now I'm going to do this side. And again, it's going to create terrible resolution, but I'm going to say remove. And that's pretty impressive. When you zoom in, yeah, you notice the resolution being bad over in the bushes. I don't notice it so much in here, but I know it has to be. But what are you going to do with the image? You might be able to get away with it. Now, here's something else I want to show you. I want to deselect that. I'm going to get rid of these girls again. Now, when you have people that are really close together, and you're going around them, you need to be sure that you don't accidentally cut off a foot, cut off a finger, cut off anything, because then when you say remove, that's what happens. They call this a hallucination, because Photoshop, if it sees any pixel whatsoever, it tries to recreate from whatever few pixels it can see. So when you make your selection, be sure you do a really good selection and you don't pick up any other pixels, or you include all the pixels and you don't pick up any other pixels, because you'll get hallucinations, they call them. So this, anytime you've tried to do a selection on something like this, I've done a couple of these and you just cringe when you see them, because it's crazy making. But Adobe added this feature. If you go up to your settings and go to image processing, the default here is device. Underneath, you have cloud. So device is faster, cloud is better. So I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to select subject. There we go. And this was device, and you can see that it missed some here, and it missed a few down here, and it missed a few in here. So those are fun when you have to go back and fix that. I'm going to deselect, go up to Photoshop, to settings, image processing, go to cloud, and select subject. And that's a whole lot better. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better. I see one little spot here. Maybe one right here. And it didn't take that much longer. They say it doesn't take but a couple of seconds. And I thought it did a really good job. So you can get a better selection by using the cloud. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So I want to put this chair in this room. Now you have to start off with a cutout. So I've already cut this out. And I have a blank, a transparent background. I just have the chair and the blanket. And I'm going to select all and do a copy and paste. Now I'm going to size my chair to fit my room. I also like to flip this. Okay. As soon as I do this, I have a new button on my contextual menu bar called Harmonize. And I'm going to click that. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at the lighting, the shadows, the color, and the perspective. And it's going to fit it in to my background. And it's going to do it really well. It creates an entirely new layer with your image embedded in that layer. You cannot move it around. If I move this around, I get that. I don't get the whole thing. I have to recreate it over again. But I have done these and they're very hard to do. You spend a lot of time adding those shadows, adding the shadows here, adding the perspective. So I did some photos for this gal. She's a singer. She was working on her album and she wanted some different photos. So I'm going to select subject. Just do a copy. I'm going to paste her in. Okay. And ask it to harmonize. Right now, she just looks like she's standing, she's kind of floating in that room. Now, when you do this, you get 3 variations. So that's the first one. There's the second one. And there's the third one, which I think I like the best. You get the shadow around her feet. It goes all the way up to the wall. You get the lighting on her face. She's more shadowed down here because of the wall over here. It's very cool.
Hmm.
This I took over at Greystone Mansion. I'm going to put her in here again. And harmonize.
Wow.
And here's the second one. And the third one. I like the second one. It's pretty impressive. I'll show you one more. This was also taken at Greystone Mansion. And if you haven't been there, you got to go. It's where the Gilmore Girls was filmed and a bunch of other stuff. Spider-Man, X-Men, Bodyguard, bunch of stuff.
That's where my daughter just got married.
That's right. She had gorgeous pictures there. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is. We didn't get to go inside though.
I went on a tour.
Yeah.
But they let you walk around on your own. It's incredible. It really is incredible. Third one. Yeah, I like the second one. It looks more realistic to me that she's standing inside a building. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with all that. Make your, if you weren't there or didn't get a picture, you can make one. All right, now we're going to get into the nano banana stuff. I'm going to start with this one. And I want to add a coffee cup here. So first I'm going to tell Photoshop where I want the coffee cup to sit. About there, I guess. And I'm going to choose generative fill. Now over here, I have a G, but what this is these are the models, the AI models that are available. Adobe has 3. They have the original Firefly 1, Firefly 3, Firefly Fill and Expand. And then they have the partner models. They have 2 from Flux, and then they have 2 from Google, which is the Nano Banana. This is the original one. Gemini 3 is so much better. But I will do the Firefly image 3 just to show you. And I want a heavy vintage coffee cup with cream. And generate. The better your prompt is, the better your output will be. So there we have a coffee cup. It's okay. We have 3 versions. Okay. I wouldn't call those heavy, but okay. So I'm going to turn that off. Go back.
You have to say mug.
Maybe. I'm going to say generative fill, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to go right to Gemini 3. I'll do Gemini 2 first, just to give you a comparison. Heavy vintage mug, coffee mug with cream. Now, one thing about the versions is with Adobe, you will get 3 versions. With Google and with Flux, you get 1. So you either like it or you don't. And here, they brought in a background. What? That I didn't want a background. I just wanted a mug. I wanted a mug to fit in my image. So we're going to try that again, but this time I'm going to use Gemini 3. I still have my, oh, no. You always have to go back to your background and you will lose your selection and you'll lose your description. So if you think you're going to do a lot of them, copy your description so you don't have to keep typing it.
Debbie, which tool are you using to make your selection?
I'm just using a marquee tool.
Okay.
The marquee, you just have to tell Photoshop where you want it to go. With cream. Heavy vintage mug with cream. With a handle.
You left out coffee.
Thank you. That would make a difference. Okay.
Debbie, does this use more of your points because you're using Nano Banana?
Oh, you betcha.
No.
And this one took longer. And this is better, but I got some blocky stuff going on over here. And I have part of a spoon that's in the way. So it's not always perfect. And if you're paying with credits for these, you know, you need to be prepared to spend money sometimes. So sometimes it works great. Sometimes it doesn't work so great.
Debbie, does it
Yes.
have a button or way to control perspective so that the coffee mug or the person, if someone has a bad sense of height, weight, it won't be, it'll have the right proportions for the picture?
No.
Okay, so it's all
You
that's
get what you
arbitrary.
get.
Okay.
I do have it is on a second on its own layer. That's what it looks by itself. Oh, I do have a background.
Yeah.
So I could probably, you know, I did this earlier in the day. I tested all these earlier in the day, and all I got was coffee cups earlier. So now I don't know why I'm getting backgrounds.
Because you doing it again and it says you didn't like.
You know, it's AI. It's not perfect. It's very weird.
Yes.
Sometimes it works great. A lot of times it doesn't.
Can't you add a mask and get rid of the little block real quick? I mean, or not?
Sure.
Oh.
I could. I do have a mask, and
Oh.
I could go. I could add to. Yeah, I could go through and. But the point of AI is so
Yeah,
I
I know. You don't want to
right?
do all that.
Isn't that the point? So
Yeah, I know.
So yeah. How much money do you want to spend? And how important is the client? How important is the image? That's all those are questions you need to ask yourself. You know, if it's your daughter's wedding and you're making a perfect image, that's one thing. If it's, you know, your neighbor who wants this for an invitation, it might not be worth it. So, it's a choice. Okay, this worked great earlier. We'll see if it works now. So what I want to do is I'm going to select all, and I'm going to go to generative fill, and I'm going to say, open the eyes of the subject and have her look forward.
Mm.
And you want to make sure you're using Gemini 3 because that's the only one it really works on. And we're going to say generate.
So how do you know how many points it's using?
I don't. You can look it up online and go into your account on your Creative Cloud and go see. And that was freaking amazing. It looks exactly like my daughter.
Wow.
So there's before
Mm.
and there's after.
It changed the whole tone.
Yeah.
It did change the tone.
Which, I mean, it looks good, but.
Yeah, it does change it. You know, it's AI. It's going to take some liberties.
Yeah, change the lighting and
Yeah, it did. So I'm going to do that again on this one. Do generative fill. And this time, face the subject that's not what I want. I want make the subject smiling and happy and eyes facing forward. There's before.
Amazing.
After.
Does it look like her?
It looks just like her.
Wow.
This is my niece. It looks just like her.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
I am impressed.
Yeah. Now, just for kicks, I'm going to show you what Adobe does. And, oh, okay, make subject happy and smiling and face forward. I'm going to change this to Firefly 3 and say generate. This is Adobe's product.
I think Firefly Fill and Expand is just the latest one. That's what Matt K says. They
That
just
isn't even the
changed
same
name of it.
person.
What?
That's what Firefly generated.
Wow.
And you're probably gonna get an animal or something.
Yeah, it's not even the same person. So,
Hmm.
so
Did you
if
try
if you're going to use this, you know, use the Google 3.
Matt Kasklovsky says that Firefly Fill and Expand is just the latest version. They just renamed it.
Maybe I hadn't heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me. So this is an image. I pulled a reference image that I pulled off of Pinterest. And I want to use the content from this on this woman. So I'm going to go over here and go to select all. Oops. Yeah. And again, I'm going to do generative fill with Google. And I want change the model to wear maroon pants with boots, a graphic t-shirt, and leather jacket, and include the black purse and chunky earrings. That's pretty close. It's not the exact style, but it's pretty close.
So do you have the picture of the lady who originally was wearing these clothes inside this picture?
I do. It's just sitting on a different layer. It's just for
Oh, okay.
reference
For you? I
for
mean,
me. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So that while I'm writing my description, the better your description, the better your
I
results.
see. Okay.
So this helps me, while I'm looking at it, realize that what she's got going on there.
But Google isn't picking up anything from that picture of the lady with
No.
the white hair.
Yeah, that's what
No.
I was.
No.
Debbie,
Yes.
when I was making images on Chat GPT, I could put in the picture and then 2 pictures and say, make this woman wearing these clothes. And it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Chat GPT is actually a stronger AI than Google and Firefly at this time. They have a lot more money, I guess. This is why I say the better your description, the better your results. When you're putting it in Chat GPT, you're just saying, giving them an image and saying, make it look like this. Whereas here, I'm actually giving them more prompts. Maroon pants with black boots, with a black purse, with a leather jacket, with a graphic tee, with chunky earrings. All those things help the search or help the engine work better because they have a better idea of what you want. So this is generative upscale. This is a crummy picture, really old picture. You can see the resolution is bad. It was, it came that way. It was originally it was originally 3x5, and I upscaled it to 15x20 using, I believe this one I used Google. No, this one I used Firefly. And you can, nope, this is the one I used with Google. So let me show you. If you go to generative upscale, I need to get rid of this. Oh no, that's Topaz. Sorry. This is Firefly. Okay. If I'm just using generative upscale, you have an option to use Firefly, Topaz Gigapixel, or Topaz Bloom. Gigapixel, Topaz originally bought that product from somebody else and then moved it into the Topaz studio. And they're basically just using, they may have upgraded that product a little bit, but it hasn't really changed all that much since they bought it. Firefly is Adobe's version, and you can upscale it 2 times or 4 times. It takes a long time. We're going to do 2 times. Before I do that, and you can see this image is just old. You know, it was done in one of those places on the boardwalk in Sacramento, and you know, a long time ago they just weren't doing great photography in those places. So I can upscale it double. You'd really want to use this on small images. You know, we all have those images that are 72 or 100 DPI that are the only ones you have. And you want to make them bigger so you can print them or do something with them. So this is Firefly, what Firefly does. And you can see it, you know, all it is big or bad. You know, it's the old garbage in, garbage out. The pixelation is still there. It's still really bad. So Firefly, I'm not a fan. So again, here we have the same bad image. And I'm going to go to Image, Generative Upscale. This time I'm going to choose Topaz Gigapixel. I did this with Topaz Bloom, and Bloom tends to distort faces. So I'm just going to use Gigapixel. But you also get another setting when you use that, and it's called Face Recovery. So I'm going to go ahead and say upscale. And you can see it did a nice job on the face here, did a nice job on this face here, and it left all the garbage in the background in the rest of the image. So it worked a little bit. It's okay. I think generative upscale needs work. So adjustment layers. I want to go here first. If you go down to your layers, adjustment layers panel, up at the very top, we have 3 new panels. We have color and vibrance, and it's just an adjustment layer, just like all the others. You can add saturation, vibrance, but it's non-destructive, so you can add those there. You can also add clarity and dehaze. We can dehaze, make it really foggy or not so foggy. And then you can also add grain. I don't know why you would want to add grain, but you can, and have all the same controls that you would have in ACR, Adobe Camera Raw, or Lightroom. So you have the same controls here. However, they are on adjustment layers. So that's cool. And then the last new feature, yeah, I think it's the last one, is generative expand. It is under, there we go. First, you have to expand your image. You can choose all these things that you can choose also up here or right on the menu if you want to. I'm just going to say expand. I'm just going to click generate and let it decide. Now it uses Firefly Fill and Expand. And it's okay. This image needed a lot of work to begin with. It's got stuff up here. There's a person over here, but that's not bad. Now this is AI. So if we wanted to do the same thing with content aware fill, you can make a selection. And I would this is something's not right here. I have a selection going on. Okay. I need it contiguous. Much better. That's not bad. Except I have a lot of repetition going on here. That might be problematic.
I've used this to really great effect if all you're trying to do is like add another couple, like 20 pixels of sky because you just got a little too tightly cropped or something like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of ways to do this. I wouldn't use either of these two ways to do this. I do some other things. But whoop. This one, as I recall, content aware fill does a really good job.
Doesn't it
No,
give you three?
It did an okay job. It didn't do a really good job. So again, there are a lot of ways to do this. Neither one of these are something I would do. I would do some clonings, maybe. Actually, I'd probably do some layering. There's a lot of ways to
What
do
was
it.
wrong with the way you did it in the AI?
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I wouldn't be able to submit that image with AI.
Got it. Okay.
That's the only other reason.
Okay.
If it's for me personally, I wouldn't care.
Right. Okay. No, I was just wondering, and that's what I was thinking, but I wanted to be sure. Okay.
Okay.